Okay, I'm back with an overdue update on this truck. Let me show you what I got going on. Season's coming up, I'm bored, and she needs some work. Things that bothered me for a while, things that weren't done right the first time. Took the hood off, and I have everything just tore apart. What I'm doing is going through all this mess of wiring, and there's a whole slew of stuff here that's actually running in here between the inner fender and the fender. You can see there's a little gap there. That was an air channel. This battery was in it. It's a little weak. I'm gonna put that one in there. That's a good one. It's slightly longer. I don't know if I want to put it there, if I want to mount it in the back somewhere, but these computers, well, the computer and the relay, or the fuse box, I don't know if I want to delete that, but I think I'm just going to put it back to the way it was. Most of these relays and fuse box here, yeah, I have it half tore apart here. And you can see there's like a dozen of these things that were just bolted to the battery cable. So this goes to the truck side, to the starter and everything. Everything was just bolted, squeezed in between here, and then it went to the battery. So I don't want to do that again. There was a bunch of coolant in there. A couple of the hose clamps were a little loose, and it leaks oil. It always has leaked oil. So I got a rear main and a oil pan gasket. The only problem is I'm going to have to pick the motor up to do the oil pan gasket, and the rear main I have to disconnect the transmission, obviously. So the drive shaft is... So the only thing good about doing the rear main is the drive shaft is too long. I had it built, and then I lowered the truck 4 inches, or I put 4-inch blocks in the back, and that shoved the drive shaft into there, so into the transmission, so it needs to be shortened like 3 inches, which is a pain in the ass. We gotta get that done again, but I just want to clean it up, get it ready for the year. I'm not going to show too much of this wiring process here. This is tedious. I don't even know what I'm doing with it yet. I'm going to try to stick all those relays in this toolbox here. Found this at a Walmart. I'm going to try and stick everything in there, and then try and have everything in there. Cell phone clip. Camera's at home. Okay, so before I get too far ahead, this is the original battery box, I believe, out of the Studebaker. Came with the truck. This battery fits. I showed you. That battery's a little weak. This one's brand new-ish from last summer. Works great. I went to Napa. Got this and this separately. I got that, battery cable, transmission seal, oil pan gasket, rear main, bunch of shit. Drive shaft just picked it up today. I dropped it off yesterday at 3 o'clock, and they called me this morning at 10 a.m. Drive shaft shortened 1.25 inches. Haven't test fitted yet, but it should be good to go. They have never failed me yet, so I trust them. This battery, I'm doing a dry run to make sure it fits, but I don't know if I showed it. This bracket, I'm going to weld solid the backside to the trailer hitch there, and then this little dick here actually fits perfect up on the cross member up there. There-ish. Little bracket here. That, like that, and then that to the frame. This battery should slip in there once the tailgate comes off. If not, I'm gonna have to raise the bed up a little bit. It's the only thing that sucks a little bit. But in this bag I got, this is the best stuff to run the battery cable. I don't care what your opinion is on that. This is ground cable from Tractor Supply. Hobart ground cable, that's 2 gauge. I usually run 4 gauge, but since it's going from the back to the front, it works perfect. So I got a little ground here. I figured I could just get that one. It's a couple bucks. I could have made one out of that because I got a couple extra feet. But I got 20 feet, it's like 120 bucks. I'll use it, and I always use extra cable. But that's gonna get grounded there. I figured if I Since I've raised the bed floor up, it'll be a good spot to use jumper cables if I ever need to. I never bought these before. I'll show you what I did use. This is, you're gonna like this. So this is the old power cable. This is the 4 gauge. That's my old derby car stuff. I'd run that through the hood over the where the windshield would be because I cut the windshields out. And then the battery would be on the floor. This is my old cover. It's old power steering fluid jug. Works good. A little too big, but you get the point. While I'm still on the cell phone here, got that thing kind of working. I was going to delete the fuse box, but some wires go to the transmission, and I don't know if the computer had the park. There's a park neutral safety switch in there, and basically there's different timing tables and fuel tables that tell the computer when to do when it's idling and park and first drive. Don't feel like fucking with it. You gotta draw the line somewhere on the project, and I'm just gonna end up rebuilding the entire fucking thing if I do that. So I gotta draw the line somewhere. That's gonna stay probably. Gotta build brackets for both of those, top the wires, start shoving stuff into that box, tie them all up nice and pretty, and we'll keep going on that. I'll bring the camera tomorrow, but I'm gonna disconnect the motor mounts, pick the whole motor up. Since the drive shaft's out, I don't have a transmission jack here. It's at the shed at my house, so I'm gonna have to sled tranny back. It's gonna be a job, but I'm tired of it leaking. So it's the right thing to do. So we have that buzzed in. I ended up putting just a piece of angle iron in there. Just as, it has the fucking tar on it, welded like shit, but it's solid. It's hooked in there, hooked in the washer like I showed you. Ground cable there. That goes like that. Little round guy. Ooh, fancy. And then just run the positive to the front, along with a million other wires, but we're getting there. I'm gonna put the tailgate back because. Oh, also, battery. You tilt it contortion like, it'll pop right in there. Real cool. Didn't even have to lift the bed up. I loosened the bed and picked it up because I thought, you know, it would fit in here and the gap would get bigger. But I'm stupid and I didn't realize I welded this to the bed, so the higher I lifted this, that went with it. So yeah, that worked. Alright, back working on the truck. You can see I got the exhaust out. I had to cut it here. I might put a V-band in. I don't know. I really kicked myself for not putting a rear main seal and oil pan gasket in here when I put it together. Get the flex plate off. That only means that the transmission is out. I'll show you. Okay. Get the transmission. Let me scooch on in. Alright, this is the back of the motor. You can see this is all dry, so nothing's coming from there. And it's all wet around here, around the seal and around the oil pan gasket. It's wet halfway down the side, and you can see inside the transmission is a little wet, but it stops right behind the where the torque converter it's going back there, so it's not coming from back there. It's definitely engine oil. You can see my little exhaust elbow. Starter's out. This is turned into a job. Transmission was fighting me. Before this goes back together, here's where the dowels go. I'm just going to take a brush and brush the rust out of there just so it goes back together smoothly, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is work on getting the motor mount bolt out there on both sides, pick the motor up, pull the cover off here, pull the pan off, clean everything up, put this oil pan back on with the new gasket, snug everything up, put some RTV in the front because it has the front cover as well, and then I'm going to get this all set to go back on. A little bit of RTV right here because where the cover meets the fucking gasket, and try to align this because it can get off-centered, which is a pain in the ass, and then crank everything back down reverse install. I'm not going to show too much of it because it's quite miserable. Alright, so here's the rear main kit. It's Velcro. Same thing, oil pan gasket. I don't know if I showed it, but that's my new drive shaft that's shortened. Well, it's the old drive shaft that was shortened. I just have a mess going on here. Happy with the gauges. I didn't get to use them yet, but I did test them a while back when I got it, and I know it works. And just waiting on some tape for the harness, mount the two boxes, and that looks kind of messy, but once the hood's on and I get that taped up, it'll look real good. Or way better than it was. Alright, got these out. I'm just going to knock this seal out and try and clean up the surfaces. These gaskets from factory are riveted, so I had to drill this one. The other side broke off, but you just want to make sure you don't get that in the pan. You don't want to pick that up into the motor. I'm just going to take a rag and clean out some of that. It's not too pretty, but whatever. Alright, going to give you a little bit of an update before I get too far. I got to go on a road trip to get some wire. This beast of a welder ran out. I think I'm going to buy the big spool. I forget how many pound that is. That's a 10 pound. I think you can get a 20 on there. Or whatever the next size is. So, I'm under there welding. Okay, so I noticed that this main one that's horizontal was starting to bend down, so I jacked it up and I had to gusset here. And then I noticed that this seam on the frame wasn't welded, and that's where I ran out. So, yeah, that spot right there is not too pretty, but the rest of them are not too bad for welding through. Kind of grime. It's a little boogery there. And then I'm going to triangulate these as well. That's how the cab is mounted on the front. So that's the factory pad hockey puck C-channel, and I'm thinking I'll just gusset between there and there, either flat plate or like 3/16 plate or square tube. I haven't decided yet. I'll do that on both sides. It's the same on both sides. I was gonna take the HD to the parts store, and I noticed that a fuel tank strap was hanging. It's like if I fix one thing, it's another thing. So I started fixing this truck. This truck broke. That truck needed a fuel pump, and I had the tank down, and it fought me. So obviously that's got to go. Replaced lights at my house, and now I have 2 broken fixtures. It's just a recurring pattern in my life. You can see I just got a ratchet strapped up there. That's 100 mile an hour approved. Okay, I'm back here. Got a fresh roll. It's not what I normally use. This is what I normally use. 0.3, this is 0.35. That's what I call it anyways. MIG solid wire. They had flux core, and you know, you're not running flux core through a machine like this, so I got her all fed through, and I think it's tensioned properly, and so turn that up, have at it. Tank's down a little bit, but I have another full one over there, and that's good because with everything going on in the world, there appears to be a shortage of freaking everything, which there really isn't. And I don't even know if a welding store around here would be open. Okay, so I'm just fitting stuff up here, grinding, using a little flap disc here. And I told you, everything I do is a project. It's one thing, it's another here. So I was just trying to get by. I cut through the cord a couple years ago, but I was just trying to get by. And I'm shoving the 2 ends together, and it works. This is all electrical tape, I'm just pushing it and it works and it stops. So I should solder it, but I'm just going to butt connect again, and it shouldn't come apart with these. There's solder in there and stuff, so I'm just going to reattach that. I'm going to tape the shit out of it, and that should be good for another couple of years at least. Okay, the bed's pretty empty here. Just got a couple little bits here, some tools. That means we're getting closer. Got some new lights, a couple of them burnt out, but that was just temporarily till I figure out some wiring or something. So let's go under. There we go. Okay, so we got the cab mount there. Gusseted both sides. That's fine. It's good. We got the drive shaft in. I think they cut a little bit more than I wanted. Maybe a 1/4 inch or so more. But you could see, so I put a new seal in here because this, where you could see this little lip here was riding the seal, or it would hit this lip would hit the seal under compression, and then the seal is riding very on. You can see on the yoke here. So there isn't very much play. It maybe had a 1/4 inch before it would smack the tail housing or the transmission. Got it all tight. It's in there. Kind of happy with it. That's gusseted. Needs to be painted. I showed this in another video or clip or something. I got this gauge monitor in here, and I was gonna mount the OBD2 port, which everybody knows is a fuel injected motor and modern and everything like that. It has an OBD2 port, and they're really easy to wire in. Obviously, these two here go into one, go to a ground. This one right here is purple, and that goes to green wire on the ECU that comes out of their serial data, and orange is power. And the OBD2 plugs in there, and this goes one solid cable right to the monitor. Real simple. I cut the notch in there, and I cut the backside out of it. There's always been an opening there for like a light bulb, but it never sealed. I really don't care. Maybe I'll add some fucking seam sealer or something like that. But instead of putting the OBD2 port in the truck and then running the cable either here or mounting this up here and then running the cable down and then have to drill a hole through the firewall. Hole already existed. Small little loop in the wire. Real simple. That's what I'm going with. So this I've glued a couple times. This little cap on there. This is a Volkswagen wheel. I don't know if that was the horn button or not. That was in a bucket of stuff that I got with the truck. Don't know. It could have been a center cap on a wheel for all I know. But that's all I had was one, and I thought that'd be a good spot for it. It covers up the ugly. I really do like it, but I've had to glue it a few times. But this time I went crazy with some JB Weld glue, and then it was really thin, and then some Gorilla Glue, but it takes too long to dry. And this is like a quick little product of the day. This is instant glued. Like, you have any kind of clear type of glue. This stuff stinks like hell though. And you just on there and this shit dries. I'm telling you. You can see on there, this was like dripping off of there about 3 seconds ago. And you can see that it's like white, kind of like frosted over. And I just sprayed it and it's dry. I don't know where you can get this. I'm sure you could probably find it on Amazon or somewhere. If you have the power of the internet, you found this video, you could find this. Okay, I'm here. I've been working on this all day. I used this Tessa tape. Got a whole pack of it, 5-pack of it. Comes like this. I like it. So I got this mostly out of the way. Got the computer here. I showed you, I think, in a previous video, but I just took a piece of angle iron and cut it and just bolted in there with one bolt. Let me see. Okay, you can just see it's bolted there, and then I started working on this fuse box here, and these bolts just had slots in there, and I wanted to put it here, so I just took some other bolts and welded them right here, right to the top of the head of the other one, just so now I can get a wrench or socket on there. Should have did that a long time ago. So I got a couple wires going there for the fan and the OBD2 port. Mounted the OBD2 here. And I got some wires running around. I'm going to tidy that up a little bit more. This got tidied up. I think I have every single thing wired up. So, let's shut that. That's sort of how she's going to look. I'm going to tie this closer to that or something. Get it up a little bit more, but it's taking shape and I kind of like it. But I'm going to get the hood on tomorrow when I have a hand. But I'm going to try and start it here in a couple seconds. I'm just going to check over everything and then I'm going to try and start it. Okay, positive's on there tight. I'm just going to throw the negative on there like that. I have haven't done this yet. Fuel pump comes on. Okay. Let's hit the starter. It started. Okay, I killed it real quick. I heard a little clicking and I didn't know what it was, and then I remembered spark plug. It was spark shooting off something. So I threw the spark plug wire back in. I was wiring something that was in the way. There we go. There should be nothing on the front. Okay. Low beams. Okay. Fans on. Medium. High. Off. Down here should be high beams. That's it. Everything seems to be working great. We're gonna see if the fan comes on at 200. We're at 1.7 now. Okay, so only hiccup so far is the spark plug wire I left off, and I heard a little bit of a ticking sound again after that, and I tightened up the V-band clamps on the exhaust, cranked them down a little bit tighter, didn't go crazy, and there's no sounds. Everything seems to be perfect here, so we're going to keep waiting on this fan to come on. I guess this is a good problem to have, but I've been waiting here, it seems like 20 minutes already. Okay, it just turned on at 2:01. So 200 wasn't it, so 201 for a couple seconds, and then it triggered. Everything's working. And they're off. Alright. Back here, slight update. Didn't get too much done, just cleaning it up a little bit. My dad helped me throw the hood on. Fits good, everything looking pretty freaking good in here. Pretty happy with it, tidying everything up. I just vacuumed around here, just the clippings from the wire when you're stripping them, and copper and stuff like that, little strands and everywhere, so I just vacuumed that up. And clean the shop up, clean the inside of the cab up. Everything seems to be working fine. I have sprung a leak. It's ridiculous, and been just sold something outside. I've been outside in the freezing rain for a little bit. I'm done for the day. I'm over this. Come back on a nicer day when I'm warm.